Bees are dying, and our survival depends on them. That's why 4RBs created the Pure Wave Cell, a breakthrough quantum device proven to help hives thrive, doubling colonies and boosting honey production naturally. Every jar of our Pure Wave honey fuels this mission, supporting beekeepers worldwide. Visit 4RBs.com. That's the number 4RBs.com, and use code WITF for 20% off. Save the bees! Save us all!
Where in the Folk is not and should not be viewed as a news source. Any names, places, or likenesses mentioned are purely fictional, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the Folk is not responsible for content accuracy of any stories that are told or what people do with these stories. This show is vulgar, sometimes graphic, and due to its content, it should not be viewed by anyone actually.
Welcome to another episode of Where in the Folk. I hope everybody's had a great New Year's Eve and a great first day of 2026. Thank you for joining us, as today we're diving into the story of Marvin Heemeyer. And if you don't know who he is, he's the man who turned a bulldozer into an instrument of revenge. Hey, Jenny.
Hey, Jenny.
So before we get started, I want to have some little friendly banter. How was your 2026, Dolly?
So far, so good.
So good.
So far, so good. You know, there was I've been seeing conspiracy theories about a bunch of people said that they didn't see the ball actually drop last night.
Whoa.
Did you actually see the ball drop or just twinkle?
No, I was asleep.
Okay. So there's people saying that they never aired the ball actually dropping, and that the 6 actually looked like a futuristic 4.
Ooh. So there was technical difficulties, it sounds like.
I don't think nobody mentioned technical difficulties. I'm just saying, like, the conspiracists are out in full.
Well, these damn Gen Z kids out here trying to run the ball, and they probably just screwed it up somehow. Like, what comes after 5? 6, bro. No, backwards. Oh, future 6, man.
Yeah, it could have been something like that.
No,
Q slop. Yeah, that's right, Judy.
But before we get into it, if you're tuning in for the first time, go ahead, hit like, subscribe wherever you're at, and we'll just get right into it.
And if you need, it's cold and flu season. If there's people that I know that call this now the magic honey.
The magic honey.
This is the Pure Wave honey. It's one of the only honeys that tests negative for glyphosates, which is the stuff that they spray on all of your crops that is a forever chemical and really harmful. And what they've replaced it with, I forget the name of what they've replaced it with now, but the Pure Wave honey, especially during this time of year, you take a little teaspoon every day if you're having like throat pain or something like that. It has helped me from personal experience. Hey,
yep.
Linda.
Hey, Linda. And I've heard that's very big in the adult industry for people with throat pains as well.
I've never heard that. But, you know, I'm not going to knock it.
Don't knock it till you try it. But
we get a call from Pure Wave tomorrow. Hey, what are you doing?
Buddy, it's delicious. Good stuff. But anyway, so like I said, we're diving into Marvin Heemeyer, a American folklore legend.
Yeah, at this point,
yeah.
Some people think he's a folk hero.
A folk hero. A lot of people do.
Folk and hero.
But I just want to say this is not just a story about destruction. It's a story about a grievance, identity of oneself, and the dangerous moment when a person decides the system's no longer worth participating in. I felt like that in my life.
I honestly, especially with like taxes and stuff like that, I feel like that a lot.
You pay taxes on taxes to pay taxes on more taxes.
What is it, like 60 cents? Basically, 50 or 60 cents of every dollar is probably taxed.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
paying towards some kind of tax.
Oh yeah, 100%. You get taxed when you get paid. You get taxed when you buy something. You get taxed at the end of the year for stuff that you already own. Like it's
Yeah, depending on what you buy, you have to continue to pay taxes, like property.
it's a wild situation, but was Marvin Heemeyer a victim of corruption? It's really hard to say. Or was he just a man that was consumed by his own grudges? A lot of times they can be one and the same.
What's up, Crystal? Happy 26.
Happy 26, 2026. Do you guys remember the 1900s?
Yes.
They were awesome.
Crystal, I forgot to mention this. Morgana did the Weird Realities newsletter, and you're the weirdo of the month. So if you don't subscribe to the newsletter for Weird Realities, you should check that out. It came out today. Morgana does a really good job with that.
Yep. So depending on who you ask, he's either a folk hero who stood up to government overreach, or a deeply troubled individual who weaponized his resentment. Let's explore the life, motivations, and destruction left behind by the Killdozer. Dun, dun, dun. So before we get to all that, I want to show you the man in question. This is Marvin Heemeyer himself. He's representing the difference between, I believe that's is that a 50 cal?
Yeah, either a 50 cal or maybe like no, it's got to be a 50 because what's the dinosaur killer? 4570?
Yeah, 4570.
They're more rounded on the end.
Yeah. So here he is demonstrating the difference between a 22 and a whatever that is. Has to be, I think that's a 50.
Yeah.
He was a pretty average looking man. You can see intense in those eyes though. So let's get right on to it. Now, in early life, Marvin John Heemeyer was born October 28th, 1951 in Castlewood, South Dakota. Castlewood was and still is a small rural town, the kind of place where people fix what they own, rely on their neighbors, and don't really expect much help from outside forces. Marvin was raised in a working class family. His father was known to be a disciplinarian, while his mother managed a household. Not much is publicly documented about his childhood, and that absence itself is telling. There are no glowing yearbook stories, no dramatic turning points, just a quiet upbringing that emphasized work, discipline, and self-reliance. Heemeyer grew up with a strong work ethic and a knack for mechanics. He was mechanically sound. From early age, he was drawn to engines, tools, and machines of all types. Things that made sense, things that followed rules. If something's broke, you fix it. If it didn't work, there was a reason. He spent much of his teenage years tinkering with machinery, an interest that would later shape both his career and the incidents that we're going to be covering later. As a young man, Heemeyer was known for his resourcefulness and determination. Friends and acquaintances describe him as an intelligent and headstrong person with a keen ability to fix anything mechanical. The mechanical aptitude would later play a crucial role in his career. Let's see. So one former acquaintance later reflected, Marvin just trusted machines more than people. Marvin didn't lie to you, is what he would say. That belief that systems should be logical, predictable, and fair would become central to how Heemeyer viewed the world. And when the world stopped behaving logically, he didn't adapt. He resisted. Dun, dun, dun. So he had a pretty basic childhood, it sounds like. There wasn't really a whole lot I found about it. I even chat GPT'd this. I was like, can you tell me about his kidhood? And I was like, no, we don't know much about it.
I think he was just, I mean, by the time we get to the end of this, you'll be able to make your own generalizations about this. But for all intents and purposes, I think he was pretty normal.
Yeah. I mean
outside of running the city over,
Well, even this was way before that, and we'll get to all that later. But it sounds like he was just a methodical person. I mean, he worked with machinery, and it's something that he learned in his youth. Growing up where we grew up, we knew people like this. I did. They were extremely good with machinery, just naturally. It sounds like that might have been him.
Do you know who Whistling Diesel is? Does that name sound familiar?
No.
So he's a YouTuber, and within the last year, he found a Komatsu.
Oh yeah.
And rebuilt it, re-welded it, and had a whole team of welders that came from all over the United States to say that they participated in this. And just a few short months later, he gets arrested, and they're trying to jail him over like false tax charges, like tax evasion charges. And I think it's the state coming after him over building the Killdozer.
It's not something you want people to know you're building, I would imagine. You know what I mean? Like
this guy, if you look at his YouTube, his whole channel is built on like blowing stuff up. Like he blows up stuff, he builds crazy stuff. Like he ran one of those cyber trucks off the side of a mountain to see how it would hold up.
How did
the Cybertruck did not hold up good. He took it through like a obstacle course.
Nice.
But yeah, every year he'll pick like new cars that come out and just run them through like a dirt track to see how the suspensions and stuff hold up.
That would be a career for me. Oh, I love that.
But in doing all this, he was like, let's rebuild the Killdozer. And then out of all the stuff that he's blew up and wrecked,
yeah,
that's when the state steps in. I think they don't like the thought of taking matters into your own hands. I think like that, the sentiment that if you're being infringed upon, that you have anything to do other than be litigious.
Yeah.
Or litigious.
You want to hear a fun true story about when I was a kid? Real quick. So in the year 2000, I was 14 years old, and the 350 Rancher Honda came out as an ATV, and Dad got me one. And I rode the hell out of it, like just straight rode the hell out of it. The A-frame broke on it because I jump it, I jump it and everything. It wasn't a sport ATV, as a utility ATV. And anywhere I went, that thing was just pegged me. You know what I mean? And we had to take it in because they had a recall on the A-frame. And Dad got a call from Honda about 3 weeks later asking him to test ride four-wheelers for him because they said they never seen one rode so hard.
Crazy.
And he said, well, I can't do that. My son was the one that was riding. And they was like, oh, can we talk to him? He's like, yeah, he's 14. They was like, whoa, because you were supposed to be 16 or older to even ride them.
You could have been, if you were a little older, you could have been sponsored.
Yeah, that would have been fun. But no, they fixed the A-frame and sent it back home. But anyway, I was meant for a life like that, you know what I mean? Like if I seen a tree, I didn't just stop. I went through the fucking thing, boom. I could bunny hop it. Like if I was riding down the road, I could make it jump. It was fun. Anyway.
Well, I'm glad you're alive.
Well, it ended up getting taken out by a car. I was pulling in my driveway and somebody hit me on it. Your grandpa seen it. So we'll move right along. After high school, Haymeyer joined the U.S. Air Force and was stationed at Lowry Air Force Base in Colorado. Then he trained as an aircraft engine mechanic, learning precision, discipline, and the importance of following scripted procedures. The military gave Haymeyer something he valued very deeply, which was clarity. Everything was like straightforward. This is what you do. Don't deviate. There were rules, there were ranks, there were rights, and there were wrongs. And those rules were enforced consistently. For someone like Marvin, this environment made sense. His time in the Air Force instilled in him a deep sense of discipline and precision, which he carried into his later business ventures. But it also reinforced a rigid worldview, one where authority was accepted only when it was fair, consistent, and earned. And that is something we run into a lot nowadays. There's not always consistency within the government.
That's true. Well, and it's like I said, they just expect you to have blind compliance with no resolution other than like court systems whenever they don't have that same oversight or rules.
Yeah. And after his military service, Heemeyer became a successful entrepreneur in the automotive repair industry. He opened a chain of muffler shops in Denver area and built a reputation for quality work and straightforward pricing. It's going to be $200, not a dollar less, not a dollar more, brother. You know what I'm saying? I know those kind. Customers often described him as blunt but honest. He didn't sugarcoat problems, and he didn't like being questioned about his expertise. Eventually seeking a quieter life, Heemeyer relocated to Grand Lake, Colorado in the early 1990s to move. The move represented more than just a change of scenery. It was really a return to independence. He purchased 2 acres of land in nearby Granby for $42,000. That's a sweet deal. The land would become the site of a muffler shop and later the birthplace of the Killdozer. At the time, Granby was a small mountain town with a population of fewer than 2,000 people. It was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone and where long-standing relationships often mattered more than written rules. Heemeyer believed that owning land meant control, autonomy, freedom. What he didn't fully understand yet was that small towns often operate on unwritten systems that don't always welcome outsiders who refuse to bend.
Yeah. Well, and I can get into a little bit about the community of Granby. So in Granby, he was kind of a complex figure. He was known as the skilled welder and mechanic like before, somebody who could fabricate anything with enough time and materials. But while some people described him as enjoyable and helpful, other people had vastly different experiences with Marvin. A story by Christy Baker recounts a time when Heemeyer allegedly threatened to eliminate her and her husband after a dispute over a muffler repair that her husband believed was faulty. The incident painted him as volatile and unwilling to accept criticism to his work. But Heemeyer's brother later stated, that he would bend over backwards for anybody. And obviously he was generally respected because, just like Cecil said, in his past lives, he was kind of a pillar of the community type person. He was very generous. He had a deep love for the outdoors, snowmobiling, and he spent a lot of time alone in the mountains, but his unwillingness to compromise made him increasingly divisive in this community. Business dealings turned into heated disputes, especially those involving zoning laws and property rights, which we'll get into a little bit more here in a minute. Over time, he developed a deep resentment toward the town officials in Granby who he believed were actively conspiring to hurt him and his business. Some locals admired his refusal to back down, and other people felt like it escalated the situation unnecessarily. Somebody said that Marvin didn't just want to win, he wanted to be proven right.
Yeah. Little back page stuff. I'm not sure which script you're on. It's
it's the first one that you sent. I don't think you just titled it Killdozer, I think is the notes that I'm reading.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Oh.
That's fun. That works. All the same topics.
We're doing the same. Yeah.
We'll just expand it a little more.
Let me okay, you hit the next part and I'll figure out where you're at. I'm not in the original, by the way.
Oh, okay. Oh no, you just started at a different spot. Never mind. My bad. We'll cut this out when I upload it. So side note, are you on the side note part?
Yeah.
All right, very good. Heemeyer was strongly in favor of gambling legalization. He actively campaigned for it and even distributed his own newspaper, accusing local media outlets of being biased against the cause. Now, that's something I can get behind. Gambling should be legal.
I don't care.
I don't care either. That's the reason I think it should be legal. And it is in Kentucky, so sweet.
I thought you said illegal.
Oh, legal.
Yeah.
I think a lot of things should be legal. Especially when you're an adult, you know. Now you gotta be 21 for about everything. You gotta be 21 to buy cigarettes. Did you know that?
No.
You gotta be 21 years old now to buy cigarettes.
Well, then you should probably be 21 before you can go to war for your country.
I agree. Yeah, if you can't enjoy a good smoke on the battlefield legally.
Yeah, I mean, what are we even doing? If you can't drink or smoke, how can you go kill people?
Yeah, exactly. You gotta have something to calm the nerves. In 1994, tensions escalated to the point where Heemeyer nearly came to blows with a local reporter who refused a proposal of the gambling. That'd be fun. The incident reinforced his growing belief that institutions, government, media, and business workers together to suppress dissenting voices. They all did this. In his own mind, opposition wasn't disagreement, it was persecution. You want to do the conflict with the Granbury town officials? Well, I brought up smoking, so now I must.
Well, and I see why you're confused. I'll hit the. So Granby was a town that was under pressure anyway. It had been changing. Tourism was growing. Development was creeping in. And with all that growth came a lot of tension between longtime residents, business owners, and town officials trying to manage expansion without losing control. Zoning disputes were extremely common. Land use conflicts were personal. And once you were labeled as difficult, you tended to go through a rough time. That matters because he did not see himself as difficult, but principled. So his troubles, Marvin's troubles with the town of Granby reached a breaking point in 2001 when the town approved the construction of a concrete batch plant directly adjacent to his muffler shop.
What is a concrete batch plant? Is that just where they put together like the dust for concrete?
Yeah, I think that not only that, but they load concrete trucks. So it's like there's one down the street here. It's just they've got silos full of dust. They've got a machine that stirs it all up, and then another machine that injects it into the drum of the vehicles.
What you think I would know that? And when I read it and when I wrote this out, I was like, I need to call Frankie.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be good for this part of it, I think, at least.
But yeah, I didn't.
So to Marvin, this wasn't just poor planning, though. It was personal because obviously he had some grievances about some of the zoning anyway. So he felt like they did this to just hinder his business. He believed the decision would block access to his property and eventually force him out altogether once he couldn't pay or wasn't getting any business. He argued that the noise, the dust, and heavy truck traffic would make it impossible to operate his shop. More importantly, he believed the approval process was corrupt. He attended town hall meetings, filed appeals, submitted complaints, insisting that officials were favoring the concrete company while ignoring his rights as a property owner. And each time he spoke, he framed the issue not as a disagreement, but as an injustice. And when his objections were dismissed, his anger deepened. And in one recording, Marvin later said they weren't listening because they didn't want to hear the truth.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, I was going to play a bunch of his recordings tonight, but there's like a few hours of them. But I do want to play one.
Yeah, we should.
So right here, let me This is the man himself. Let me know if you can hear it. Right here's one of his little sections I heard. I was like, ooh, that's brutal.
When you start screwing somebody who's trying to do something good in that neighborhood, in that community, but it's against your wishes and your will. Maybe what happens here this year of 2004, the summer of 2004, maybe you'll remember that.
That's a brutal statement.
That's kind of foreboding.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know, they there's a lot of things that go into this that you're going to hear. And you know, there's some things I left out, so I'm sure there's some Marvin Heemeyer experts out there that's going to give us a little griff about it. But you know, come on, correct me. But they did seem to be doing things like they're like, well, we were just trying to get him up to code. He never filed for a legal easement. You know what I mean? Things like that. Because the easement was one big issue with it. And another thing that happened was the septic system dispute. Which I get, you know, why they would want a proper septic system. But this is often misunderstood, and it's elements of Heemeyer's conflict with the towns involved in this whole system. Granby officials cited Heemeyer for having an improper septic system on his property. According to town records, his system did not meet up-to-date code requirements, posed a potential environmental risk. I'm sure they're saying that now as they build an AI center 15 miles down the road, probably.
Yeah.
But from the town's perspective, this was a straightforward, you know, compliance issue. For Heemeyer's perspective, though, it was selective enforcement, which, you know, growing up in a small town and seeing how the officials have been around here to the point where a judge like this week filed a restraining order against our complete city council from being able to follow anything. Things like that happen. From him, so he claimed he had attempted to bring the system up to code, which he did. You know, he worked on it a lot to try to get it up to code, but they always blocked his permits. The inspections were always delayed, and every time they came up there, they changed a new requirement on them. At one point,
that sounds like local effery.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And at one point, he even requested permission to connect to the town sewer system, but they did not. But you know, he said they denied it. So, with him being kind of strong-headed, this kind of is thrown up into the air for debate on if he actually requested it. I think he probably did, and there's like, no, you can't do that now. You know what I mean? But he believed the septic citations were being used as leverage to push him out and sell his land. The fines compounded over time because they kept fining him just over and over and over and over, and it grew into a significant financial burden.
That's funny, Jitty. Yeah, they would have. Yeah.
And each citation reinforces belief that the town wasn't interested in compliance; they were interested in punishment because of all the ruckus he'd raised over, you know, this concrete batch plant being put right next door. A former town official later stated, Marvin saw every regulation as an attack, not a rule. But from Heemeyer's point of view, rules were not being applied equally, which I'm sure they weren't. He often pointed out that other properties in the area had similar septic setups and were not cited. Whether this is true or not mattered less than a fact that he believed it was true. This dispute marked a turning point. What had been a business disagreement became a personal crusade at this point. I've never had an issue with my local government on a personal level.
You're also not a business owner, though.
I'm not a business owner. I have known business owners that have had some pretty significant issues with the local government.
That's the big sticking point here, is like it's usually the good old boys club when it comes to opening and running businesses in small towns or even big cities for that matter. And if you're trying to be a new player and you don't have a family name that fits in, you're going to get choked until you play ball usually.
Well, there was a boy I knew that came to a town. I ain't gonna say the name of the towns or where he came from because everybody know it. I knew him quite well though, and he opened a business in this little town. And for the first year, the cops were up there constantly. Like, did you have a permit for this? Or they called in. Well, I don't want to say what they called in, but they called in some kind of inspector like constantly, like every 2 or 3 weeks for the first year. But then he started making a little money and started pumping into the community and left him alone.
Yeah, it's not fair. I mean, because that's where the big money is in owning businesses, and you don't want people taking share of your pie. Like if I own Wendy's and McDonald's, I'm not going to want you to open up a restaurant down the street from me.
No. If you have McDonald's, Burger King across the street, kind of sullies your deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
so,
yeah. And this isn't to like make him a hero. You know, we're just providing the facts as they're given to us and in reference to this. But from personal experience, I do know things like this occur. Like, well, this ain't up to code. What do I need to do? You need to do this. All right, call him back. Well, I did that. Well, it's still not up to code. You need to do this too. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen it happen personally. So he escalated everything through legal channels as the tensions rose. He doubled down on legal action, actually. He filed lawsuits, submitted these grievances. He continued attending town meetings, often speaking at length, sometimes angrily, which, you know, happens when you get fired up.
Think about the town hall meetings in London.
Oh man, they get wild. They were anyway. I'd love to be able to take off work and go up there and just chill out. You know, I want to go up there and be like, I disagree. Well, whatever you say. But his statements became more and more realistic over time, framing the conflict as a fight between right and wrong rather than policy and procedure. Each legal loss deepened his resentment, which it would. Each denial still reinforced his belief that the system was rigged. Rather than seeing these outcomes as setbacks, Seameyer interpreted them as proof of corruption. In his mind, the fact that he kept losing didn't mean he was wrong. It meant that the system was, in fact, broken. He later recorded, "The truth doesn't matter when people in charge decide the outcome," which, yeah, he's right. That's absolutely right. First time I got put in jail after I turned 18, I was completely sober for the first time in like 7 years. They put me, but they were convinced that I was not sober. So,
Crystal said that the town hall meetings are her favorite show.
But they get a little out there. If you're new and you're not from around this area, just look up London City Council meeting on TikTok and you'll get a kick out of it. They got some out there.
It's hard to, I don't know, just to get off on a tangent for a second. It's hard for me to discern who is actually in the wrong there between the old council and the new dude.
Well, the thing that gives me a lot of solace about it is I live in the country. I'm not in the city. Let them do them. Don't come out here.
Who do you think is like actually the problem though? Is it the people that have been there forever or this new dude?
A little bit of both, I'd imagine. I mean, I don't really like to get into this because I do live in town here, and
we don't have to do that.
I will. What are they going to do?
So they'll Marvin Heemeyer you.
Well, let them. Things I've seen that the city does is a little weird to me. Like when we first moved over here, they bought an $85,000 Christmas tree. The city council decided to buy an $85,000 Christmas tree that plays these shows on it and stuff like that. And they have to keep paying a perpetual license for people to come and program it and things like that. The only issue I seen with it when I was told it was an $85,000 Christmas tree, I was like, $85,000. That's so wild.
Pretty steep for a Christmas tree.
So when they finally put it up, I started doing some research. And I was like, I wonder how much I could buy this Christmas tree for. Like if I was to buy this Christmas tree. I found one exactly like it for $27,000. And the programming on it's not that hard. From the one I found anyway. So either they got ripped off or somebody pocketed a few $1,000s. I don't know which.
Well, that's really the only way you can launder money anymore is to overpay for stuff, or like just how people buy art. You know what I mean? Art's the biggest money laundering scandal in the world.
Well, another town, the mayor of another town that I'm very familiar with, you too, paid 2 boys to build their welcome to blank sign. There was about $4,000 worth of material put in there. They paid them $29,000.
What?
Yeah. And I spoke to one of the boys. That's how I found out about it. I was like, "How much did you get paid for that?" He's like, "Oh, all together, it was about $29,000. But hell, we had to have $4,000 or $5,000 worth of stuff." I was like, "Okay, that's some pretty good labor."
I have no idea, Jenny.
I wish.
But yeah, that you know, the ways to launder money these days from the taxpayers to people, is through stuff like that, through inflated services and purchases.
Yeah, but this whole thing that's happening in London, Kentucky, I'm sorry we're going down this rabbit hole. It kind of plays into it because it kind of sets you in the mindset of how cities, small towns work.
You got all the old heads whose families have been around and in these councils for ages, and business owners, and then you've got a foreign entity that they do not want there.
Well, I reckon he was born and went to school over in Corbin or something, this mayor, but he went off somewhere and made a lot of money. He's bought up a lot of property around here, and they don't agree. All this started off with the oh my God, Doug Harless situation, which, we've surpassed a year and there really ain't much movement with that.
That was another situation where somebody was it's the rules for the situation where they went in and killed this dude over a lawnmower or a weed eater.
Yeah.
And there's no repercussions. Like he's not gotten justice. Like nobody's been held accountable for killing this dude.
Yeah, but that's when it all kind of came to a head. And, I know people that's been good friends of mine that's currently running for city council now. Like, it's wild. I assume in about a year or two, maybe 3, we'll be doing an episode on the London, Kentucky City Council fiasco.
Yeah, I mean, somebody will end up, getting into a Marvin scenario if things continue in the way.
I really hope not, but
because stuff like this happens when people feel helpless. That's kind of the point of all this.
Well, the biggest thing though is it's between the city council and the mayor. You know what I mean? Like, right now it's between them two entities, so not one single business owner's in any jeopardy, and the people that's chilling on the city council, make decent money, and the mayor's wealthy. So,
but the whole deal of back to the Doug situation, them intercepting evidence and testimonies and editing stuff. I don't know, those situations where somebody gets murdered and you feel like you have no recourse and nothing you're doing legally. People feel backed up against the wall. I think in a lot of situations.
Absolutely.
We don't condone violence, but I'm saying from Marvin's perspective, he probably felt like there were no other options.
I agree. And the Doug Harless thing, man. I mean, there's just a lot of things that's strange about it. city police out in the county serving a warrant on a weed eater at the wrong address with the person they were looking for already in jail in the county over. They knock loudly at 11:50 on Christmas Eve at an elderly man's house, scream police, and then bust into his house. And within 3 minutes from that, 2 or 3 minutes from that initial knock, he was gone. You know what I mean? This is a lot of weird stuff. But I don't see what motivation was behind it. You know what I mean? Like if it was something so I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
I think that'll be a true crime doc at some point.
Yeah, something has to be worked out. But anyway, going back to Marvin Heemeyer. While Heemeyer was often described as a friendly in casual interactions, he consistently escalated conflicts with others considered reasonable, beyond what others would say were reasonable.
I don't know, Crystal.
They did. They knocked. They went boom, boom, boom. Police. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom. Door went down. And then boom, boom, boom. And within 3 minutes, they're back outside. If I remember, we played the video last year.
Yeah, this guy, he thought somebody was breaking into his house, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I would have.
If you're a law-abiding citizen, and in your mind, that nobody would be arresting you for anything.
And serving a warrant for a weed eater on Christmas
Eve
about midnight. So I mean, that's weird. But you know, it was an important man's nephew's weed eater, so they had to get that back. But anyway, while Heemeyer was often described, I've lost my place. While Heemeyer was often described as friendly in casual interactions, he consistently escalated conflicts beyond what others considered reasonable. His belief in personal justice was unyielding. He framed disputes as moral battles rather than business negotiations. Once he decided someone had wronged him, compromise was no longer a damn option. Minor disagreements frequently turned into prolonged struggles, slights are real and become deeply personal offenses that demanded retribution. The concrete plant became the centerpiece of his mindset. Heemeyer believed that town officials, business leaders, and even local media were working together to force him out. He described himself as being under siege. So his response to frustration followed a pattern: initial complaint, escalation of legal action, refusal to compromise, moral framing, and then total fixation, which happens. That's kind of the path. Like, I'm gonna start off and try to get this fixed, and then things just keep going against you, till you're like, what the fuck else do I do? His methods include, we've already went through, they include lawsuits, public accusations, and outright refusal to comply with town demands he believed were unjust at this point. The septic system fines intensified everything. Rather than seeing compliance as a solution, he viewed it as submission at this point. Heemeyer became increasingly isolated. Friends knows he talked about little else in conversations and always circled back around to betrayal, corruption, and his destiny. When somebody starts talking about it being their destiny, that shit has went too far. You know what I mean? Like that'd be like if me and you got into an argument over Aerosmith or something. Like, Aerosmith saying this song, you're like, no, fucking blah blah blah, dude. I'm like, it's my destiny to prove you wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That would be a red flag. So there were, like Cecil mentioned earlier, there were recordings after the rampage. Investigators discovered audio recordings that he had made over several years that, again, he felt wronged, isolated, and morally justified in what he was doing or going to do. And he spoke at length about his belief that he was a victim of an orchestrated campaign to destroy his life He named names. He revisited old grievances. One of the most chilling lines was that, and this is one of the most famous quotes, and this is something that people underscore when they call him a folk hero, is sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things. In another recording, he said, I was always willing to be reasonable, but they forced me to do this. And it, showed a gradual shift from anger to obsession and then to certainty. And he no longer spoke in hypotheticals. It wasn't revenge, it was justice.
Yep.
And I don't know if do you want to play any recordings?
Yeah, I got one more that I'll play. Let's see. Right here.
I know I shouldn't have given you the benefit of the doubt. I should have learned that people are ultimately corrupt. I didn't, I guess. Now I'm going to have to die with it. Because I'm telling you, I will not live with it.
That's foreboding, really. And there's a lot of these recordings. Like the whole when we first did this episode years ago, I couldn't find the recordings. Day before yesterday, I was like, I wonder if there's anything up now. There's a guy on YouTube that has them all now.
That's great.
He put them up about a year ago. So
yeah, I mean, there's a ton of hours of this guy talking. And you start to understand a little more if you listen to him. Like, you can kind of see his descent into mania.
Yeah. So the whole final breakdown of this before everything took off, by 2002, he closed his muffler shop. They got what they wanted, but they didn't get the land, by damn. This moment mattered more than it seemed at the time. To Marvin, the closure wasn't a business failure. It was confirmation, proof that the town had succeeded in destroying what he'd built. Rather than prompting reflection, it hardened his resolve. He stopped believing that the system could be fixed. He stopped believing compromise was possible. From that point forward, Heemeyer no longer saw himself as part of the community. He saw himself as separated from it. And the separation set the stages for what came next. So, again, by 2002, he had closed the muffler shop. To outsiders, it looked like a man cutting his losses and moving on. To Heemeyer, it really felt like surrender, and surrender was unacceptable. And to lead way into where we're going, he had sometime in the past purchased Komatsu D355A bulldozer for approximately $16,000 in California. And for a while, it sat outside the shop with a for sale sign on it. He attempted to auction it off, but nobody was really interested. And when the shop finally closed, Heemeyer later said that he took it as a sign from God. To him, the bulldozer was not a leftover asset. It was a message. As the years passed and Lakeland avenues failed, he withdrew completely from social life. He stopped attending town meetings. He stopped trying to argue his case. Instead, he spent nearly all of his time alone inside a closed muffler shop. Neighbors later recalled seeing lights on late at night, welding sounds, grinding metal, hammering. No one really questioned it. I mean, he was a mechanic after all. That's what he did. What they didn't realize was Marvin was no longer repairing machines. He was building a verdict. In 2003, he committed fully to a radical plan. He turned his bulldozer into an unstoppable war machine and personally delivered what he believed was justice. And we got a little picture of the war machine after it was built. We'll go into the way it was built here in a moment, but look at this thing.
It's a tank.
It is a tank.
You know that? Do you remember the pictures of this is way off topic, but the bulldozers that Israel took into Gaza?
Yeah.
I think they modeled them after this.
100%. Yeah. When I seen him, I was like, yeah, they took a page out of his book for sure.
Let me see.
Go ahead and pull him up.
I'll try
So,
to find a picture.
I mean, he went through, the steps of a logical person at first. I'm sure he probably had a demeanor about him that was aggressive anyway. He seemed like a pretty straightforward, laced up, old timey guy. Like, no, this is the way it should be. You know what I mean? Like the guy that was at Mike says, "Stop! I don't need commentary while you're making my damn sandwich." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That guy. But yeah, I would like for you to pull that picture up though while we're getting ready to go into this, because I mean they do look suspiciously familiar.
Yeah. Check this out. I got it.
Yeah.
They actually, this isn't armored as good as Marvin's. Marvin was protecting the gear and everything.
Yeah, I mean it's still armored pretty well, as you can see right there. Those are bulletproof glasses. We'll get into how he's seen, because he had no glass except for certain little portholes.
Yeah, and the Komatsu D is a lot bigger than this too. We'll play some clips maybe of like the actual. You can probably find some clips of the destruction.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't even think about that.
Well, I'll work on that while you're.
Yeah. So over approximately 18 months, he worked on this for 18 months, and it wasn't a burst of rage. It wasn't impulsive. It was slow, methodical, patient. He designed the Killdozer in stages, welding thick steel plates together and filling the gaps with concrete. The armor was layered, angled, and reinforced, and engineered specifically to deflect bullets and explosives. In some areas, the armor reached nearly a foot in thickness. Now, the thing about it, once in this, the cab became a tomb. There was no exit, no escape, no reconsideration. That choice matters a lot. Heemeyer didn't build a machine he could walk away from. He built one that he had to commit to.
Yeah.
A former explosives expert later commented, "This wasn't amateur work. It was elegant. It wasn't elegant, but it was effective." Additional features of the Killdozer: it had the reinforced steel armored layer with concrete, designed to resist small firearms and explosives. Bulletproof viewing points covered with ballistic glass. A system of internal cameras feeding live videos to monitors inside the cab. A gun ports outfitted with multiple firearms, including a 50 caliber rifle. A self-contained ventilation and air conditioning system to handle heat and dust. Food, water, and supply storage for an extended siege. The cameras were particularly important. Once the armor was sealed, and so he just strapped himself in this thing, lowered everything down on there, and welded his ass in there. So he's like, "I'm not coming out of this."
He might have been better off going the route of viewing ports as opposed to cameras for effectiveness anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So again, once it was sealed, he had no direct line of sight. He had to rely entirely on technology for navigation and machine-driven perspective, replacing human vision. It's really not hard to see symbolism there. Engineering as an obsession is the Killdozer wasn't just armored; it was customized. He reinforced the engine cooling system to protect. He protected the fuel lines. He shielded vulnerable components that the law enforcement might target. So the level of planning in this and the research, testing, I mean trial and error, it meant he was thinking through potential police response long before the rampage even began, and he got it down to a single detail. Like, I don't know if I was somebody to build something like this, I would forget something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think, he had a military background, so he was militant.
Every failure scenario had an answer. The bulldozer was no longer a tool, it was the solution. And then there was one that said the man who trusted machines more than people, and the machines never told him no. So during this period, his worldview had hardened at this point. At this point, he no longer spoke in terms of disputes or misunderstandings. He believed it was a divine thing that he was doing. He described himself as calm, focused, and certain. In one recording, he stated, "God will bless me for what I'm about to do." That's, I don't know. And other, he said, "I'm not angry. This is just something that has to be done." In this crucial shift, anger burns hot and fast. Certainty is cold, and it lasts a long time. So, let's see. So he did leave behind a total of 2 hours, and they are now publicly available online. Let's see.
Trying to find out where you at.
I'm skipping over a lot of this stuff.
What about the quiet before June 4th? That seems like a good starting point, maybe.
Yeah, let's jump straight to that, because I didn't realize it was going to be this long, and now I've got to work tomorrow.
I think this is a good starting point anyway, just in the story.
Yeah. In the days leading up to June 4th, nothing seemed out of the ordinary in Granby. There were no warning signs, no threats, no dramatic confrontations. He might have paid his bills, returned borrowed items, and left recordings neatly stored. So he didn't lash out, as he prepared. So the rampage, one resident later said, "The part that still scares me, he didn't snap, he decided." So on June 4th, 2004, just after 2:15 p.m., Marvin Heemeyer climbed into his armored cab of his bulldozer that has been affectionately become known as the Killdozer. Once inside, he welded the hatch shut. Moments later, the engine roared to life, and Marvin Heemeyer drove through the wall of his former muffler shop, emerging fully encased in steel and concrete. This is when the Killdozer was unleashed. At first, people thought it was an accident, a construction mishap, a machine out of control even. Then the targets became very, very clear.
The first hit was the concrete plant next door.
Why wouldn't it be?
He drove it directly toward the concrete batch plant, the origin of all of these grievances. The bulldozer smashed through the walls, conveyors, and silos. Steel screamed, concrete dust filled the air, and workers fled as the whole structure collapsed around them. And this was basically the full representation of what he believed is justice made physical.
Yeah. Now, the town did respond quick. Police arrived within minutes. What they found defied every expectation. And, the Killdozer's armor shrugged off bullets. Rounds sparked and ricocheted harmlessly. Snipers aimed for viewing slits, but there were none. Only thick ballistic glass and camera feeds. Explosives were considered and dismissed because nothing could stop it. And they didn't really want too much collateral damage from explosives, I'd imagine. One officer said, it was like trying to stop a tank with a handgun.
I mean, it is literally a tank.
That's what it is.
And the bullets, the steel was so thick, the bullets were ricocheting off of it. So that was dangerous too.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Now, the Granby Town Hall was the next. The building was reduced to rubble. Officials inside barely escaped before the walls gave in. So, the next was the local newspaper office. And its front facade collapsed under the weight of the bulldozer's blade. Heemeyer had long blamed the paper for misrepresenting them. The former mayor's house was also a target. He drove straight through it. The house stood no chance. And then onto a hardware store. Shelves collapsed, merchandise crushed, the floor groaned beneath the machine's weight. And before this, and the power lines were torn down, plunging parts of like the whole town went into darkness. So big parts of it. Water mains erupted, flooding streets beneath the bulldozer's treads. And throughout it all, residents ran. Cars fled, sirens wailed, and the Killdozer kept moving.
Here's what's crazy though. Throughout all of this, nobody was killed.
He wasn't aiming to kill anybody. I think that's the thing. That's the point of why he's a folk hero amongst like a lot of people now.
Yeah, witnesses said that he literally would avoid people when possible.
Mm-hmm.
And when he would spot somebody nearby, he would adjust course to stop from running them over.
Yep.
So I think I agree with what you're saying. I think that's a big proponent of like, this ain't the same thing as like a somebody that goes and shoots a place up. It's not the same mindset of like a cold-blooded killer.
Yeah. And there was one rumor that I didn't put in here that he used a 50 caliber gun to try to shoot propane tanks or something. That's one of the things that stands out. Everything that I read about this and when I was doing the research on this came out to that actually never happened.
Well, and he could have easily, when he took out Town Hall, he could have easily took out the people that started this to begin with.
100%. Now, the law enforcement's final stand, the authorities attempted to block his path with heavy equipment. He just pushed it aside. They considered the explosives. They just couldn't get close enough this time around. The Killdozer was unstoppable, not because it was fast, because it was inevitable. It was invincible.
They couldn't stop it.
Yeah. After nearly 2 hours, the cameras started failing. They started overheating. He was getting to where he couldn't see. Now, we spoke about when he entered to a hardware store. That's actually where, this came to an end, was at the hardware store, because the weight of this machine crashed through the floor into the basement, and he just could not get out of the basement. If he wouldn't have fell through the store floor, I'm telling, the whole town would have been flattened.
Yeah. Well, and they act like that a single gunshot echoed from the cab or whatever, but the police didn't really know that he was dead for a long time. They were afraid. They were afraid to get too close because they knew he had large caliber guns.
Yeah. Yeah. And, by this time, the engine overheated, the cooling system failed. The machine that resists everything finally stopped, not from force, but from limitations. So, like Tully said, they heard the single gunshot from the cab, and it took hours to breach the Killdozer. And once they finally decided that they might be able to approach, when authorities finally cut through the armor, they found them slumped inside, surrounded by supplies, weapons, and monitors. I want to see the inside of the Killdozer. I couldn't find anything. I'm sure it's out there. I couldn't find anything.
Well, this would be a good point to play some videos anyway. Let me this isn't going to have audio. I just want to talk through the video maybe a little bit.
Right.
But here is some of the footage
Look
of
at this.
him running through the town.
Wow.
Right there, he's taking out walls.
Wow. Look how big that damn thing was too, man.
I know, the Komatsus are huge.
Yeah.
When Whistling Diesel recreated this, there was only one in the whole country he could find.
Wow. I know where D28 is.
Yeah, these are like earth movers.
Wow.
Yeah, he's basically just taking out
Look at that. Man, that's so wild. It really makes me want to have one just to have it. You know what I mean?
Well, and like I said, if you want like a modern take on this, you should check out the Whistling Diesel thing.
Pushing 3 cars out of the way like it's nothing. We might
need a SWAT team.
It might be about time, brother. Oh man. the resolve of somebody to make something so meticulous. Wow. It'd take the biggest armor piercing bullets you got, is what they said right then, if you're listening on audio only.
There's some shots from the inside.
He had them like, he had guns like
in there.
position.
Yeah, they were fixed for the portholes.
Yeah, wow. Never fired one, I don't reckon. I didn't find any instance where he fired one gun.
But yeah, this is just like pure destruction.
Wow. That's so nuts, man. What do you think the townsfolk thought? Well, time to go to Walmart. Let's go out here.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's going so slow that they're like walking with it, but
Yeah,
nobody can do anything about it. Here's what they tried to bring and put in its path. I don't even know what those are called, but they're like the huge equipment that breaks in the middle. That
yeah. He had that thing souped up and everything, man. He done everything he needed to do.
Yeah, look how, I mean, that thing's moving.
Yeah, for that type of machine, yeah, it's moving pretty quick. That's sped up. But yeah, even still, just pushes it like it's nothing. I think it says a lot that he actively avoided people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I don't think he knew that place had a basement.
No. That's where it went through.
Yeah, I think he's stuck right there.
Yeah, that's where it got stuck. The right side dipped off. Huh. Wow. But yeah, I mean, the total damage is estimated that they exceeded $7 million. In today's money, that's $500 billion. And the town was really never the same. After this, he developed a legacy. Did the Granby government change policies after this? No, they didn't. No major zoning or land use policies were rewritten directly because of the incidents. But there was a psychological impact. Meetings became quieter, disputes more cautious, grievances taken way more seriously. Marvin Heemeyer became something far more dangerous than criminal. He became a symbol at this point. And a lot of people speak highly of him for this crime. You know what I mean? Like, I seen somebody post on the thing for the show tonight, and was like, he was a hero or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I don't know where I stand with it. I really don't. I can see both sides, but I can't help with the small town inside me knowing that they were out to get this guy's land. Like, that's my thought. They wanted that 2 acres to sell to the concrete man.
It feels like he was just a nobody that they pushed to an extreme level, and that it's everybody's fault. I think it's his fault for not seeking proper help.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, I think it was a good old boys club situation where they just pushed him and pushed him and pushed him.
Yeah, I agree. And, his story is one of frustration, defiance, and destruction. And it's a reminder of what happens when conflict goes unresolved, when identity becomes fused with grievance, and when a person decides the system no longer applies to them. Whether he was a man pushed too far or a man who pushed himself into certainty, one thing is undeniable. The Killdozer wasn't built in straight anger. It was built in belief. 100%. And belief, armor, and destructive power.
Let me show you some of the recreation here.
All right, let's take a look at it. Oh yeah,
Mostly me. So you're trying to be really cocky about it. They spent 200 hours on it, and then we had 30 people welding for 8 hours. We probably spent 300 hours total on it. Everyone's asking, where's the Killdozer at? Literally nonstop working on it. I want to do a lot more for this first video, but it's been taking so long. I just want to show everybody. Oh, yeah, they're working great. Wow. The cameras are booting up. I'm going to close the hatch. Oh, my God. We're going to start the Killdozer.
It's the exact Komatsu, by the way, the only one he could find.
Light up. Oh my God. Hey, the air isn't bad. Oh, it's okay. Wait, stop. What are you doing? Did you hear that? No. It's like a squeal. Our casualty marker went up. 1. Was someone underneath? What was that bump? What? What do you mean it's just Ty? He wasn't dead. Why is the paramedics here? You need to work on the dozer?
that's not real.
If your lower half has been ran over by a 2 million pound bulldozer or even bit by a rabid pit bull, call Sweet James, accident and injury attorneys. With over $1 billion of settlements, Sweet James can get you the justice you need. Like Ty here, he's happy now. With over 20 years of legal experience. That's how much experience Ty has welding. Walk it off, dude. Come on.
He actually walked it off.
We should close that zone.
This is crazy.
Isn't it sick?
Wow.
People could open fire on us right now.
Oh, yeah, nothing.
And this is all 5-inch thick bulletproof glass.
I need to take this to court.
Sweet James is a real love.
I
James
need
and I
to
are
take
great
this to
friends. I
court.
injure people and he uninjures them.
Great working relationship.
In the event of an emergency, door will be locked and we will not be able to get out. There's also a self-destruct button. There's no cover on it, so just don't kick it. The first stage of our Killdozer testing is to plow through these 8 cars. It's a group of people that have angered me. Let's obliterate them. This feels like Ocean Gate. What could go wrong?
Wow.
I don't have premium YouTube.
Yeah, we don't have that stuff.
You picked on the wrong man. I'm not that strong. But I had to do this.
Wow. All right.
This ain't from the radiator, I think. That's from the dog.
Imagine having your lawyer in the Killdozer with you.
What's the name of that guy's YouTube channel?
It's Whistling Diesel. He has 10 million followers, so he's a fairly big YouTuber. Never had any huge problems until he did this.
Wow. I don't know, man. It's untelling what happened there.
After he built it, they came and arrested him over something completely unrelated.
I mean, the key there would have been to do it before he built it and try not to piss him off, right? Like, he's already got it now. Like, I don't know. But I mean, that's our Marvin Heemeyer. I'm sure we miss details and things of this nature, and
Yeah,
we
check.
just we
I
want
would
to put.
encourage everybody, like, if you're interested in this, go watch some full length documentaries
Yeah,
and
out there.
listen to the audio.
Yeah.
Um, you know, he seems like a normal dude outside of plowing the town down with a dozer.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like, from every account that I've heard about him, he seems like just a uptight dude, like a standard uptight guy. Really, I mean, we know hundreds of them, and then he just got something in his mind that they had wronged him, and it was time to deal out a little business. The $7 million plus in damages, that's a lot, but only one human life was lost. Well, one human life was lost when there could have been dozens, and he actively avoided that. Um, I don't know. I wish he would have not taken himself out. He would probably already been out of prison. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, not only that, but
yeah,
he would be definitely a symbol.
he'd be getting paid thousands of dollars to be on every podcast in the world.
Similar to Joe Exotic.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. So tell us what you think. Is he a hero, or was he maybe he took it a little too far? To me, I feel like he ran out of options. He's seen his life going down the toilet, and he didn't know what else to do. You know what I mean? That's what I think.
Like I said, I think it's everybody's fault.
Yeah, I do too. Everybody.
I think he exhausted all of his legal options. He was pushed out. He didn't have a good support system,
No.
and it was just a perfect storm for this.
And my personal belief, which is just my opinion, I believe this town was actively trying to push him out. Because I've seen it personally in my life. I know things like that happen, and I know it can come from the government side of things. Deals are made behind doors, and things like that happen. For an example, in our hometown, I only say this because I'm pretty sure it's known now. There was an old house sitting right in the middle of town that was burnt down because the people refused to sell. And then after it was burnt down, they built our city hall. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, I mean, things like that happen. But now they have a picture of the house painted on the side of a building. Good for them. Anyway, if you've stayed with us this long, go ahead, hit like and subscribe if you haven't done it before. Thank you all for tuning in. Everybody that comes and watches us every time we do this, thank you guys. Jenny, Crystal, Landa,
Larry,
all you guys, thank you all for being our constants and keeping us
Easy. Yeah, I haven't seen Easy in a while.
I ain't seen Easy in a while. I hope Easy's doing good. I think Easy has to work though a lot, so probably catching it.
I think he listens after the fact.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we'll be back at 7 p.m. Eastern for the news, global anomalies, and the strange frequencies tomorrow, formerly Weird Awakenings.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing geographic anomalies like the Carrington event. So basically, changes in the Earth's behavior is what we're going to be covering.
I won't be on at 7. I have to close at work. I'll probably be on for Strange Frequencies though at some point.
That sounds good.
Yeah. But yeah, tune in tomorrow at 7 and watch as the crew covers all that good jazz that Tully just talked about. That's what this show is. It's nice jazz, We play one note and then we play another one that don't go with it.
Yeah, we do a lot of different stuff, and Cecil really enjoys the true crime stuff. I enjoy the true crime stuff.
Yeah.
And we're going to start sprinkling in a little bit more. We just try not to. The main thing with the true crime stuff, we try not to beat the dead horse on stuff that's just been overplayed and overplayed.
This is one that's been overplayed. But
Well, not the first time you did it,
not the first time I did it.
but we wanted to pull it back out because that episode doesn't exist anymore on the internet.
No, it's locked. It's in a hard drive locked in a safe that I hope aliens find in 5,000 years once we're all gone. And they're like, we need to find this fat guy's body and recorrect and bring him back to life.
And on that note,
go and check out our partners at our sponsors at 4rbs.com. The number 4 to letter rbs.com. Again, hit like and subscribe. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your brother, tell your brother's wife, his girlfriend, or whatever it is.
we're going live at the nursing home.
We'll be doing our first live show at Laurel Creek Nursing.
No, we're not. But Cecil says that our key demographic is older folk. So we
on no joke on Spotify, it's the 60 plus.
So we're gonna be hitting the nursing homes heavily to market.
I'm not far from there, dude. This last 10 years has went by in a year. So in 2 more years, I'll be 60. 60. If I'm still alive.
Tune in tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching us because we're watching you.
Whoa!